Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be complicated, but there is a better way to buy with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to every type of live event. And right now, get $20 off your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code WINGO today.
It is 1 week from Christmas, and we are ready to roll. Good Monday morning. Welcome in to another edition of Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Delighted you are in the Santa Countdown with us. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic Jr., and those watching on ESPN2 can certainly see that the big man is in the mood for the big man.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Elf is playing all the time right now. I have the shirt that has Will Ferrell on it and the Elf suit that said, "Oh my God, Santa, I know him." Of course you do. It's a big week.
Genuine excitement.
It's a big week.
It is. Christmas is one of those holidays that's so much more about the lead up once you get past a certain age than it is the actual day. Because, you know, at the point that we're all at, seeing the faces of kids light up when they get that morning and get that special thing as a part of it. Right now, it's the build up. It's the lead up. It's the anticipation.
And Trey and I have gone through a lot more layers of it than you have,
yes,
by the way. And this was a tough week when I was single and you know, Chris and I were dating or getting, you know, engaged and coming up around Christmas then and doing that shopping.
Yeah.
You know, going out and shop. Always waited to the end.
Yes.
You know, there were times I went out on Christmas Eve. Trying to finish the shopping. Kind of the mode you're probably going to be in, Mike, at this point. And then you're right. You know, when you guys were young or Trey's kids were young, you know, that was the cool part.
Absolutely.
You know, when they're opening the presents, when you swear as a parent before you have kids, we're not going to get them too many things. We're not going to spoil the kids.
And then you
give them everything in the world.
100% the other way.
You watch the video of it and you're like, my God, did we get them enough stuff? You guys were almost bored opening because there were so many presents. It was ridiculous. And it was your mother's fault.
Listen, when it comes to all of that stuff and the way that you guys have spoiled your kids, my sister.
Yeah.
You guys just point the finger at each other. But
Yeah.
I'm excited because I get to watch this happen for the first time for a lot of my friends. Kyle Rudolph, who we've had on this show and other show, has his two twin daughters that are both going to be, you know, having their first Christmas they can really remember.
Cool. That's when it's cool.
You know, so it's excited for that. I have a lot of baby gifts to get.
So we are 1 week away from Christmas.
Yes, we are.
But the gift that keeps on giving is the National Football League's regular season. You know, this was the game, the Patriots at Pittsburgh, that I think everyone, when they saw the schedule come out, they were like, wow, that game is probably going to be for the AFC home field advantage, and it may be one of the most entertaining games of the year. And on every way, it absolutely delivered.
Yeah, it was. And so for the first thing we all think is we built it up too much. They're like, there's no way.
Nope.
No way it's going to live up to this hype. Not one shot at all. And then it does. I think the toughest moment in this is because these are two teams that obviously are going to be fighting for it for the end. And you really hope Antonio Brown is going to be okay. The leading receiver in the league, the best receiver in the league, Julio Jones, whatever it's going to be. And we'll get into it, but he has a partially torn calf. He's going to miss the rest of the regular season, hopefully be back by the playoffs. But that would be a shame. You know, it's a shame for any team to lose a big-time player, but that is a big-time player that this team, if you were going to move them to the Super Bowl, they need a guy like Antonio Brown. That was a tough loss there for them.
Well, that's just one of the layers of the story.
I mean, so many.
Think about
so many.
We'll get into all of it. But that's it. I mean, it looks like Antonio Brown will be back for the postseason. But again, that torn calf muscle on that play in the end zone where he couldn't hang on to the pass from Ben Roethlisberger. Speaking of plays where you couldn't hang on to the pass in the end zone, it is thing that everybody's talking about. Did you have a problem with the way the rule was applied to Jesse James?
The rule was applied correctly, but our good buddy, we worked with for years here, Mark Schlereth.
Yep.
I think he had one of the best lines out there when he said he basically said that the rule. The rule is stupid, but I think they got it right as the stupid rule is written.
And that's exactly correct.
I think that is probably the way to say it is they interpreted the rule correctly, but I think the rule is somewhat ridiculous. So they got it right, but I mean, will we ever get a true what is a catch rule written in the NFL? Because right now it seems whatever the catch is for whatever the situation is, wherever you are on the field, it could be different.
I don't know if that applies to this situation. The more I've been thinking about it this morning, because I've been trying to workshop it through this. I know we were texting about this the other day.
Mm-hmm. Wait, did you just say you've been trying to workshop it?
Workshop it.
Just say you've been thinking about it?
No, I've been workshopping
what are you doing
it.
There? What is that? Yeah.
Millennials.
What are you doing
It's
there?
an industry term.
Yeah, okay. For millennials.
Radio Trey is going to learn about workshopping.
I'm going to workshop this. I'm going to think about it. You're thinking about it.
So I was workshopping this.
Okay.
You were thinking about it.
And what I came to was this. So if this catch happened on the 20-yard line and Jesse James went down to the ground and the ball jostled like this, would it be a catch?
No.
If he caught this ball in the end zone, went down, and the ball jostled when he hit the ground, would it be a catch?
No.
So why are we saying it's applied selectively? It's applied the same way it is everywhere else.
I haven't heard anybody say it's applied selectively. I think they think the rule stinks.
But why does the rule stink? If we know definitively what it is, when we're asking, we want to know what a catch is. Most of the cry I hear is we want common sense law on this, right?
Here's why. Do you have a follow-up point there? Or?
No, I'm asking a genuine question. Is what we're asking for is the sort of I know it when I see it law.
Here's where this comes into this particular play. Go back last week, the game-winning touchdown for the Carolina Panthers against the Minnesota Vikings. Jonathan Stewart takes the ball in a handoff, jumps over the pile, ball breaks the plane, ball pops out. But because the ball broke the plane, it's a touchdown. Now, in this scenario, Jesse James caught the ball. One knee was down, ball over the plane. But because the ball moved 1 millimeter to the left after it had crossed the plane going to the ground, it's not a touchdown. And that is the problem I have with the rule, because it's different for a receiver as it is for a runner.
And Mike Pereira answers that for you in a tweet. People are saying a runner breaking the plane causes the ball to become dead, which is true. But the receiver does not become a runner until he completes the process of the catch. Totally different.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. Okay, we go back to week 2 this year. Go look at the Eagles-Giants game. Sterling Shepard caught a pass in the end zone.
Right.
And not the one on the corner where he ducked it. The other way is on the left side of the end zone, catches it, takes 3 steps inbounds, and then is pushed out of bounds. He's 10 yards out of bounds, rolling over, and the ball comes out, not a catch.
Right.
That is patently ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
I agree. I think once you have maintained control of the ball and got your feet and become a running with the ball, in this case you're in the end zone, that it should be a catch and not have to go rolling out of bounds and sliding across the ground to see if you maintain a catch. But I don't know where they're going to change it, because then you're going to put it in the hands of the referee, right? If you're going to make it more of a gray line if you do that. Now it's going to be up to the official. I'm thinking, did he have it long enough, instead of what the league wants is we want a rule written that you can look at this play and say, this did not meet the rule, incomplete, rather than to say, well, did he take a couple of steps and then I know it's a few yards out of bounds and then he lost control. Rule says no catch, so it's no catch.
And I guess that's what I mean in this is we have that. Like, everyone was very clear last night, and like you said, the stupid rule, we at least know what was happening. And what do we always say about officiating in a game when you were playing is you learn very quickly early in the game how the officials are going to call it, and then you adjust. So if we know exactly what they're going to call, then in theory players can adjust and fit that, right? That's all you're looking for is a set of rules and operational guidelines that you can work within. I feel like we're there now. If you want to tell me you want to revamp the whole process and clearly define what it is, I'm cool with that idea, but I'm not cool with what you talked about, which is the subjectivity of just saying, you know what, call it a catch when it looks like a catch.
Remember, because I know there are people saying, is it a catch in a bar or in a flag football game, and using that. Well, then it depends in a bar. How many drinks did you have? Well, or in a flag football game, are you family or are you not? I mean, I'm using that as an example. Then it's like a ref in different games could look at it differently. I mean, this goes back again, people, to 2010, Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
This is where this was born. Calvin Johnson making a catch in the end zone and the ball in his hand on the ground and it comes loose and they rule it incomplete. My biggest thing, Trey, was what you just said.
Yeah.
If you can show the difference to me of why a running back can dive over and as soon as the ball crosses the goal line, plays over. Doesn't matter what happens to the ball. And I look at Jesse James and I look at the ball. He had control of the ball as it crossed the goal line.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, my common sense says control the ball, cross the plane, touchdown. So But they're making, as Mike Pereira, I just read, is making the distinction. That's what I was looking for.
Well, they've made the distinction.
Right. So it's just a matter of how much you like it or not. And to your point, Mike, I agree with you because I don't want to put it back on what the ref thinks in that particular game. You don't want to do that. And let me tell you what, the refs don't want to do
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
The refs don't want it like that either. They know they can say, okay, we didn't write this rule, but we're just enforcing a rule. Don't blame the messenger when I'm making the incomplete, sign.
Because you know what happens when you take that out to the fullest extent and you let that law govern the land? You get the College Football Playoff Committee, and you get all of the complaints that people have had about that. Because I see it up here. Common sense says it's a catch. The way the rule is written says that it's not, and there's a gray area that can't be explained in words. That's what we had in the Alabama-Ohio State decision, where we had common sense says Alabama's the better football team of those two. But the way that all the rules were written around the committee says Ohio State and their body of work and their conference title and all these things that are supposed to matter should be in. And we advocated for a system that prioritized that subjective view of things. And that's what we get, is we still get a laundry list of complaints. And so all you do if you open this up is get a laundry list of different complaints.
Well, that's fine, but I think a lot of people would like to know what a catch is and have a little more clarity about why it's different. I understand why the rule says it's different, but I think most people see it the same way. He had possession, it crossed the plane. That should be the end of the play.
Well, and Mike Pereira is telling you the difference. Yeah. Are you just not buying the difference? No, do you just not agree with the difference?
No, I agree that the rule was interpreted correctly. I just think it's a crappy rule.
Okay, so what? Yeah. All right. So,
but I know, I understand your point in this, right? Mike Pereira is basically bringing us to the why.
He is. So if you don't like the rule, I guess that's what I would say to everybody out there. What do you want as the rule? What do you do? How do you want to define it that is going to define it and not make it, kind of up to the referee that day on what you think? I don't like the bar strategy. Yeah. Is it a catch if you're sitting in a bar and you think it's a catch? As I said, you ask the guy in the corner, sitting on the corner of the bar who's had 10 shots, or the guy at the other end who's had 1 shot, you might get a different answer.
So let's take the bar let's take the bar equation out of it. I think you and I agree on this point. The same standard should apply for what happens to the ball, whether it's a runner or a receiver crossing the plane.
I think I would like to go with that, but I don't. You know what's going to happen? There's going to be things thrown back at you as far as why it shouldn't be. But to be uniform, that was my first thought. Is if it's good for a runner, why can't it be good for a receiver? Jesse James had the ball when he crossed the goal line. Should that make it a dead play? But they're saying no because he didn't finish the catch.
To me, this just comes to, because all we need is one situation that kind of points the opposite. All you need is one of those plays where it's a little more bang-bang, because this one we feel in certain situations we felt have been a deliberate enough in the action that led up to the reach. What if next time it's just a catch and then he quickly falls and it falls out? Then all of a sudden, is it different? Is he still a runner then because he just has the ball?
Well, in Super Bowl 12, between the Cowboys and the Broncos, Roger Staubach threw like a 40-yard touchdown pass to Butch Johnson, who was the receiver. He caught the ball, rolled over into the end zone, and the ball popped out. It was a touchdown. Why? Because he had possession of the ball across the goal line. Right. So let's not pretend like this rule has been hard and fast in the NFL forever.
Right.
This has been a rule that's changed within the last decade.
It's Calvin Johnson.
That's exactly right.
2010.
So what is now is not what has always been.
Right, exactly.
And if you've been a fan of football for a long time, that's a thing a lot of people have a problem with. Mike Tomlin, by the way, talking about what's happening with there and how it happened to be overturned.
I don't have HD and all of that stuff, so, it's really irrelevant how I feel about it, to be honest with you. It's not going to change the outcome of the game. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk and all of that crap and talk about replay. I ain't doing it.
Now, I think he does have HD at the house, just not at the stadium.
I love him.
Tomlin's awesome.
I mean, I absolutely love that guy. So can you universally make it, if you have control of the ball when it crosses the goal line, it's a touchdown no matter what?
That makes sense to me.
And just leave. Can you just leave it at that?
You know what? I don't. The way I look at it is this: is Trey's right. The rule has changed, and in my mind, I would like to think it's changed for a reason. That we've had enough events come up.
Well, there you go, putting logic in an illogical situation.
Because the point you made, and Trey, your recall of past events and the specificity is truly incredible.
It really
is.
10 minutes to Whopper. I'm an excellent driver.
It is gifted, but I would say is super. Very nice.
Rain Man. Very well.
That was
very well
subtle but effective.
Yeah.
But with that, to the point about Super Bowl 12 is, I'm sure if the internet had been around then, there would have been people that would have been outraged by that call and the fact that it was called a touchdown too.
Yeah, they just knew that was the rule.
The bottom line is that I don't think that people were more understanding now versus then. I think there is just more exposure, and so you're never going to be right with the decision that you made. They're at least clearly defined in what they're doing. I think this is always going to be a conversation that leaves one side upset.
Now, Golic and Wingo, presented by Upside.com, giving all business travelers the gift of a better travel experience this holiday season, Upside.com. And I'll tell you this, I don't think that's why the Steelers lost the game.
But before you go to that, can I ask one more thing on the rule? Because we're going to talk a lot about this.
Yes.
You want it to be universal.
It should apply the same to both situations.
So if you say he had possession of the ball when it crossed the goal line, it should be touchdown, right?
That would seem to make the most sense to me.
If we had that rule, all right, I'm trying to do is think of the next situation that's going to throw a wrench into it. So put that same catch 3 yards deep in the end zone. Catch or no catch?
Catch.
But he hit the ground. Now he's in the end zone. It's not about crossing the plane. He's in the end zone. He caught it and then bobbled it and it hit the ground.
But that's my point to the Sterling Shepard catch, or week 2. He caught it, took 2 steps, had possession of the football, then was pushed out of bounds and the ball was dropped. If you have possession of the ball and 2 feet down, to me that's a touchdown.
Okay.
In any scenario.
Okay.
In any scenario.
All right, but he was in the air and then got pushed down. I'm talking about this particular catch. Nobody touched Jesse James. He was on the ground himself. Yeah. He caught the ball and was on the ground, and say he's 3 yards deep in the end zone. Yes. Caught the ball, and as he continues down on the ground like Des Bryant and loses the ball, is it a catch then?
I would say yes. To me, that would be the case.
So you're saying even if a receiver goes to the ground and it falls out, you would still like it to be a catch once he's had possession?
The ground can't cause a fumble. So why can the ground cause an incompletion?
But I'm just saying
there's no standard.
But so now if he goes to the ground and let's say when he's going to the ground, a defender has jostled the ball loose because he had control for a second and 2 feet down, it's still a touchdown and that defender's got no right to the ball?
That used to be the rule.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That used to be the rule.
Listen, I don't.
We talk about a league where defenders are hamstrung enough as is. You're taking away one of the few tools they have, which is the ability to play the offensive player's hands when he goes up and try and jar the ball loose.
No, I have no problem with that. In this scenario, there was no defender around him.
Right.
All right. He caught I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah. The exact same catch, 3 yards in the end zone.
Yeah, that to me would be a touchdown.
Even though he didn't finish the catch. He was already in the end zone.
This finish the catch thing is something that we just sort of added on to the NFL in the last 7 or 8 years.
I understand that. That's why we're talking about it. Yeah. I mean, it sounds a little different than you caught the ball in the end zone and as you hit the ground, the ball goes flying away. I mean, I could see some people saying why is that a catch? Why would we say that would be a catch?
That's the next part that comes out of all of this is the immediate reminder in all those moments. It'd be great for the league because scoring would be up because the barrier for entry is super low then.
Did Megatron catch it against the Bears? Do you believe he caught it against the Bears, that play you talked about? I mean, no one was near him. He caught the ball, and as he was pushing his hand up to get up off the ground, the ball came out.
Here's the thing.
That's a touchdown to me.
Again, what you're doing is you're going to put it in the hands of the referee. And now you're going to say...
I'm trying to not put it in the hands of the referee.
No, you would be, because did he have it long enough? He was trying to get up.
Well, right now we have this thing called a football move.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
So, I mean, it's there regardless. Either way, it's going to be there.
We've got human officials. It will always, no matter what rule we institute, there will be some measure of subjectivity within it. There's subjectivity in every penalty now, so it's unavoidable.
What I would like is a lot of people hated this and they don't know what a catch is. I'd like people to tell us what your definition of a catch is.
Well, put it on
at Golic and Wingo.
What should our definition?
What's a catch?
Yeah.
And you know what? In all honesty, in this, as we look for solutions, the one group that I would love to have be able to define this, and we've heard this thrown out before, is a committee of former players, former receivers who come together and finally give us a definition, because that way, like we always hear about the CBA, you were a part of it and you told us what a catch is and what this is supposed to be. Have that group of guys in conjunction with officials and people come together and just define it once and for all so you feel like you have some role in it.
Let's have some defensive players too. I mean,
absolutely.
if you're asking a wide receiver. What do you mean? What do you mean? I bobbled it all the time and ran out of bounds. That's still a catch.
So let's be clear. Let's be clear about where we stand here. Number one, by the rule, they applied it correctly. We just don't like the rule.
You don't like the rule. So what's your new rule?
All right,
not you. I was rhetorical.
Put it out there, Golic and Wingo. By the way, here's another thing. We can get into this. I don't think that's why the Steelers lost.
Well,
the
there
game.
you go.
They had plenty of chances. I mean, right before the touchdown drive to start that put the Patriots ahead, The ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage, and
Right.
Sean Davis, it was
Right
there in his hands. And oh, by the way, there's no reason Ben Roethlisberger had to try and force that throw into Eli Rogers.
On the fake spike, well, we definitely have a lot to get into with that game. That was a great game, and you're right. It always comes down to 5, 6, 7 plays, not one play.
Yeah, the Steelers had more than enough opportunities to either send that game to overtime or win it outright, and they didn't. So everyone's looking at that play because of the controversy around it and the confusion about what is a catch and what isn't a catch. But don't kid yourself if you think that's the reason they lost the game. They had other opportunities, many of them, to seal that game. We'll get into that, plus another controversial play in the NFL that ended another game.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Life happens. With ADT, you can feel safe with an ADT starter kit professionally installed for only $49. Call today and install an ADT starter kit that includes security panel, keypad, key fob, entry and motion sensors, and for a limited time, get a camera included and installed at no additional cost. That's a $449 value installed for just $49.
Requires 36-month monitoring contract, QSB, and EasyPay. Activation and early term fees may apply. Certain marks excluded. License available at ADT.com, Florida EF001121, Louisiana F1639.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Jeff Saturday will join us. Sal Palantonio will join us. Ian Begley, ESPN Knicks reporter, will join us, as will Ryan Clark in studio. I'm sure he's a little distraught about what happened to his Steelers on Sunday. Look, there's a lot to get to here, and we talked about the touchback rule. We talk about the catch rule a lot, but the touchback rule is also one that's a little crazy because you're penalizing an offensive player for trying to score.
Right.
With that one, and we actually put that one up on Golic and Wingo. What rule would you rather see changed, the catch rule or the touchback rule?
Yeah, again, for those that may not know, in the game last night, Derek Carr was trying to be the winning scorer, was running to his right, had the ball in his right arm and switched it to his left hand and reached for the pylon, and the defender knocked the ball out probably about a yard short, and it fumbled through the end zone. I was always amazed at that as well. Now the ball goes to the defense at the 20-yard line. I mean, man, a guy tries to score, and that's how you get repaid for it. So, again, is that a worse rule than the catch rule? And I don't stop there. I say, you got to give us another rule, though. You can't just say that's a dumb rule. Give us what you think. Should, like in that case with Derek Carr, should the ball just, if it fumbles out of the end zone with nobody in possession, would you go back to the original line of scrimmage? I mean, what would you do instead of awarding the ball to the defense? Because anytime you think of a new rule, there's always traps to that one as well. But that one does seem like a bad one as well.
It does, but I know your guys' point about the catch rule was, and Trey, you brought this up, the idea of it being consistent with what we see with both runners and with receivers. With this, would we be changing the rule just for offensive players going towards the end zone? This seems like something that would be decidedly against consistency and enforcement.
Are you talking about the touchback rule?
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that the idea that an offensive player should be penalized for trying to score has never made sense to me. Like we saw was it Jordan Howard? I can't remember with the Bears game where they said he was short and they challenged it and it was first and goal from the 1-inch line.
Yep.
And instead it was a touchback.
They lost possession.
They lost possession.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, listen, people are penalized for trying to do good things all the time. It's called holding.
Yeah.
You're trying to do a block that helps your team on every play, and because it's outside of the rule book, your team goes back 10 yards.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's quite. I mean, I appreciate your position as a former offensive lineman. I don't think that's quite the same.
Make it a block in the back. Make it offensive pass interference.
All those things are patently against the rules.
This is against the rules.
No. We have a rule that we're trying to see if we can get it to make more sense.
I want to change holding too,
and to be illegal. And again, at Golic and Wingo, Justin about hits the nail on the head. Perfect solution. After any controversial catch, do a 30-second Twitter poll. Let the people decide.
That would be great.
Justin, you get it.
Yeah, that was very good.
That's very, very good.
He's with us. So look, a lot of people have absolutely lost their minds about the way the Patriots-Steelers game ended, and our Stephen A. Smith was none too pleased after this somehow slipped away from Pittsburgh.
as far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't going to be a touchdown, and it should have been a touchdown in my estimation, if it wasn't going to be a touchdown because the football, you lost control of it once it hit the ground, at the very least, you should have had a completed pass by about the 1 or the half-yard line. I'm just utterly disgusted because as far as I'm concerned, the Steelers didn't just lose this game. They also lost the AFC Championship game as far as I'm concerned, because the likelihood is that it'll be in Foxborough, and I don't believe the Steelers are winning the game in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Their best shot was to make sure they had an AFC Championship game at Heinz Field, and we don't even know if it's going to get to that point the way Jacksonville is playing. I'm utterly disgusted.
Utterly, but he's wrong. I mean, listen, A, it's an incomplete pass by rule, and B, there's no way you should get the completion at the one when nobody's touching you and you lost possession of the ball. I mean, that's crazy.
I'm feel bad for him that he's upset, but that makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. No,
because it's either a touchdown or an incomplete pass.
Exactly.
It can't be a completion at the one because according to the rule, he didn't complete the pass. So I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But here's the other thing, and I want to be clear about this. Yeah, that's the focus of everyone's attention today. The Steelers had plenty of opportunities to win this game, and they just didn't. Okay, they got the ball back with 3:56 left. That was 3:56, and they were very conservative. Okay, if I'm the Steelers, let's get a couple of first downs. Let's make sure the one thing we can't have is a 3-and-out. So they ran it on the first play. Then they threw a short pass on the third play. I think Ben got sacked on the next. No, he came up short.
Yeah, came up just short.
And by the way, if you look at that play, he hit Juju underneath. Right behind him, Eli Rogers wide open for the first down. If they get that first down, game's probably over. Sean Davis makes the interception on the start of that drive when it was tipped at the line. Game's probably over. And even after the exasperation of the Jesse James play, you still had two opportunities to either get the ball into the end zone or kick the field goal and send it to overtime. They didn't do either of those things. So while we're all pointed on this one thing that the Steelers didn't do or didn't get in terms of a call, they didn't do the things necessary to win the game. And that's why the Patriots won.
In some respects. In other respects, we saw things from the Steelers last night that they haven't traditionally done against the Patriots in the past. And they were effective. They were getting to Tom Brady a lot on third down and harassing him in ways we hadn't seen before. They were stressing the back end of that Patriots defense again in all of the ways that we saw at the beginning of the season. Someone asked me this question this morning over on First and Last, and I thought it was interesting, is who we learned more about in this game, and I would say it's the Steelers because of those things. We heard it on the broadcast. Tony Romo mentioned it. They were doing things they hadn't traditionally done against New England, and it was effective. This is a team that, like you said, had every chance to win this game. Everything we saw from the Patriots is the usual. And when your standard is the defending Super Bowl champion, that makes sense. But Rob Gronkowski going off in a game, yep, we expected that. Tom Brady leading game-winning drives down the stretch, yeah, we expected that. We learned more about the Steelers, and I think it's more good they can put in their pocket.
I agree. I do think it's good. Antonio Brown needs to come back, for the playoffs. I think New England is mortal. I think we want to call them the super team, but you see, boy, when Brady gets hit, how that can change the games. But when they need it the most, who throws the cape on? Brady and then Gronk. Yep. I mean, that winning drive, 3 catches, 1 a great catch down low, 2, he's running wide open down the middle of the field. And then the 2-point conversion, seriously? You're going to put a DB on him?
Well, how do you not double him? I mean, right? How did we not see that was coming?
Inexplicable to me from that standpoint. But to your point about the one play, Mike, we've all been through this going into films the next day. That's absolutely right. We see the Jesse James play. And Jesse James, it's not like people are going to, on that team, are going to be mad at him. The dude was trying to reach the ball over and score the touchdown. When you go through and players watch that film the next day, you will see this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, that opportunity. Players understand it wasn't the one play, that there were other opportunities that either you as an individual could have done better, that maybe could have changed the play, or as a team that could have changed the play. So while we all are going to complain about that one play, you're absolutely right. As from the people that it matters the most, the players and the coaches, they're going to see in that film session that there were other areas to win that game.
The Steelers essentially did everything right except win the game.
Yep.
I mean, that's that. And you know what? The Patriots found a way to win the game. And that's what New England does time and time again. The end of that game was very similar to the end of Super Bowl 49. Okay? Russell Wilson and company are right there. Right. The one thing you don't want to do, and Tony Romo, by the way, I love listening to Tony call games because he couldn't be more ecstatic about calling these kind of games.
Oh, yeah.
What did he say right before right after it was overturned? have time for throw fades. Throw fades.
Don't
to the
throw
corner.
slants.
So the first one they threw inbounds, okay, across the middle to Darius Hayward-Bay, I think, and then they were going to do the fake spike. And if you watch the play that led to the interception, the only receiver that ran a route was Eli Rogers. Right. If you look to the left side of Ben Roethlisberger on that play, the two receivers over there, they didn't go out. They didn't even go into the pattern.
You mean on the fake spike?
On the fake spike.
Well, that's what happens. It's a one receiver route. When you do a fake spike, when you do that fake spike, it's going to one guy. Now, I thought it was going to be a fade. You're not running a complete play. You're running we're fake spiking. It's going to one guy. I thought it was going to be a fade. I think that's the safest play there.
Why throw it over the middle?
You don't hit the fade. It's incomplete. You kick the field goal and tie the game. I believe it was Eric Rowe,
yes,
who made the play. A great job of getting his hand in there, but just too much can happen on a slant play.
I figured they were just going to give credit for that play to Malcolm Butler again.
Yeah. How about it? Huh?
Figured that would just be the easiest course of action. But no, you're right. Plenty of chances to win that. And I can't stress it enough, going back to who you guys brought up. Credit to Rob Gronkowski. I remember listening before the season to people saying that no one has come back from 3 of the back surgeries that he has had to be a competent player. And he doesn't just look good. He looks like normal Gronk, like all-time great tight end
early in the
Gronk.
Season, the first game or two, we were like, ooh.
Looked like he was laboring. Last night, you mentioned on that drive, went low for that catch, beat a guy off the line one-on-one for that 2-point conversion. He did everything last night and looked like the greatest tight end of all time again.
9 catches, 168 yards.
Well, not only that, he only had 33 yards in the first half. He had 135 yards receiving in the second half. And on the touchdown drive, you know what? Yeah, they got to Brady, but when he had to make the throw, once again, he made the freaking throw.
Well, as I said,
he made it time and time again.
As I said, Pittsburgh is a great pressure team, but if your quarterback's throwing in rhythm, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. To the Gronk plays, he was throwing them right in rhythm down the middle of the field. So you can get the quickest pressure in the world and not be able to get to the quarterback if he's throwing on time like that.
The bottom line, the Patriots did what was necessary, and the Steelers did not. And everybody can focus on the shiny object, which was the Jesse James play. Yeah. They still had 2 opportunities to score a touchdown. They still had an opportunity to just not turn the ball over and kick a field goal and send it into overtime. Instead, they forced something over the middle, and what happens when you force something over the middle? Too many bodies around there, very easily for it to be a turnover, and that's exactly what happened, and that's why it may be that the AFC Championship game may be going to Foxborough instead of Heinz Field.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
We roll on Golic and Wingo 1 week away from Santa's big day, where Santa Claus comes and fills every house with toys. Woo! We want to be clear on our position there.
Hella Santa.
Glad you're with us, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. So we've talked a lot about the Patriots-Steelers game, and we'll do that more throughout the show.
Yep.
But there was another controversial finish in a game that happened basically on a rule.
Yep.
The Cowboys kept their playoff hopes alive, and the Raiders are essentially out of the postseason. Because late in that game, with the Cowboys up 3, Derek Carr in the final minute of the game on I think it was a 3rd down play, trying to score the game-winning go-ahead touchdown. From the 8-yard line, he scrambles out to his right, dives for the pylon, and as he's diving for the pylon, the ball comes loose, rolls into the end zone, and goes out of bounds. Touchback, Cowboys gain possession, kneel down, and win the game. So the question then becomes, how do you interpret the touchback rule as opposed to what we've been talking about all along, which is what is a catch and what isn't a catch?
This one mystifies me a little bit because the defense, well, in this case, the defender did hit him as he was reaching and the ball came out, but nobody has possession of the ball. It goes out of the end zone, and somehow, now you would think I would like it because the defense gets it as a former defensive player, but I still have a tough time understanding that one. But I'll always say this. So if we don't like it, what should the rule be? And the first thing I brought up was, okay, if Derek Carr does that and doesn't get in, then you bring the ball, offense still gets it because nobody had possession of it, bring the ball back to the original line of scrimmage. But I don't know, Mike, what Pandora's box that opens up. Is if you know something like that's going to happen, wouldn't you be more apt to, would you throw it forward at one point? Or, we don't want the holy roller or anything like that from Kenny Stabler back in the day. But how would that change things if all of a sudden you made that the rule that it came back to the original line of scrimmage?
Yeah, as much as of an anarchist as I am, I understand that doing that, because if you fumble it out of bounds, it just stays right at the spot it goes out of bounds. Right. If you fumble it forward now, we know that's against the rule because
back
of that.
To the line of scrimmage, right?
This seems like one where you could cauterize it pretty easily in the moment here. Again, I look at it and say, just because it's this idea that he's trying to do something good and isn't rewarded for it in the body of game doesn't really sell to me, because most penalties in the NFL are born off the backs of guys trying to do something good and not being rewarded for it if we decided it's against the rule.
Well, that was just one of the controversial things in this game. The other one on the Cowboys' go-ahead field goal drive on a 4th and 1, Dak Prescott went for a sneak, and they had to bring out the chains, but that wasn't enough. Gene Steratore then brought out an index card to put between the chain link first down and the ball, and because Gene Steratore said the paper touched the ball, that was enough for them to give it a first down. And Raiders head coach Jack Del Rio wasn't really happy with how that went down.
I don't want to get fined, okay? I'm not happy with the way things were done on a lot of different situations throughout the night. They did the best they could. I had a different viewpoint. I saw error. It was pretty obvious. Never seen error like that and it somehow turned into a first down. The error between the ball and the stick. That's sure short. Okay? Goes the other way. Period.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong, but there seems to be some and Steratore is basically saying, he was just doing this for
to confirm what his eyes had showed him.
What his eyes already showed him. It was kind of a weird back and forth that he was giving, but like Navarro Bowman said, he saw space between the card and the ball. Obviously, the referee, he basically put the card in, stood right up and signaled first down, like the paper hit the ball.
Right.
What I want to know is, why did he fold the index card in half? Now he doubled the width of the index card. Why would he fold it in half?
I'm surprised there's not a Reddit page already dedicated to the thickness of an index card that was now doubled by that move.
Yes,
How do you know there isn't?
How
do you know there isn't?
Very true. I will deep dive onto that one after the fact.
That was an interesting play, but again, he must have thought that the card touched the ball, because again, he got up and immediately looked and signaled first down. There were those that say they saw space between the nose of the ball and the chain, and that the index card didn't hit the ball. That was a weird scenario right there.
Look, it was crazy, and that's just one of them. The fact that we had 2 games come down to these kind of rules in 2 of the biggest marquee games of the entire weekend is pretty amazing. And basically that's how that sort of signified that the Cowboys keep their playoff hopes alive, and then the controversial ending. Look, the NFL is the gift that keeps on giving, because people can say, "Oh, we're down on the NFL." You know what? It was the most entertaining thing all Sunday. There's it's not even a question about it. Not even a question about it.
It really was, and sometimes we found that the search for clarity definitely breeds more murky results than anything else.
By the way, as our researcher Brett, who's getting tons of airtime today,
sure
Team
is.
Brett, we love you, big guy, points out it's the biggest index card controversy since the Oscars Best Picture from last year.
Oh, wow! I have to pull a bad man for that one.
And since Miss America before that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good call.
What did Steve Harvey say? I made it.
I forget
what the line was.
I forget what it was. As he was memed into existence. It's been a rough stretch for index cards. Really getting a bad rap.
And back to the rules. I think I have more of a problem with the ball fumbling out of the end zone than I do with the written catch rule.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get more into
Again,
that.
we've got that on Golic and Wingo. Give us your responses on that. Well, coming up, we also have a Pacific Northwest route, which nobody really saw coming along those lines. And that didn't go according to plan. That was all Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks, plus a homecoming in the Big Apple that was kind of interesting for a lot of reasons. We'll have all that when we come back. Stay with us. Golic and Wingo on a Monday. Santa's coming.